You think you know the icons of Africa. Elephants the size of trucks, lions built for the kill, giraffes tall enough to look into second-story windows. But there's one you've maybe never heard of, an antelope, just as impressive, just as striking, but unlike anything you've ever seen, with a coat that shimmered blue in the sun. This is the story of the lost blue antelope of Africa. We're going to reconstruct this almost mythical lost species to reveal what the bluebuck was, what made it so special, and how it vanished. We'll show you why Africa still holds onto its mega mammals when most of the rest of the world lost theirs. And we'll explore Africa's massive antelope kingdom, where more than 70 species survive. A few that may still carry echoes of the legendary bluebuck. All to reveal how the bluebuck, a lost wonder of the natural world, might not be lost forever. Africa. This is where we began. The cradle of humanity. Every one of us traces back here. It's a landscape that shaped our idea of the natural world and where the bluebuck once lived. Towering animals, endless plains, incredible life everywhere you look. A continent whose oldest roads are elephant paths, where herds moved like weather patterns, and predators followed close behind. It's not just an unforgettable scene, but an intricate and delicate system. From the beginning of our time here, we lived alongside these giants, and somehow, pieces of that ancient world remain. African elephants, white and black rhinoceros, giraffes, hippopotamuses, lions, leopards, cheetahs, zebras, buffaloes, and more, the full cast. All of them still living together on the same continent.
When we think about Africa as a whole, we've got this incredible diversity of animals that are ranging from things like lions and cheetahs through to incredible antelope and ungulates, so four-legged animal species all over that landscape. All of these animals that are iconic to our existence, things that we know so well. Elephants, like they're all there, they're all in Africa. And they're all species that humans have lived alongside for a really long period of time.
Writer A.A. Gill says, "It's like seeing the world with the lid off." And that's not just an impression. Africa still holds the greatest diversity of large-bodied mammals on Earth. And it's not even close. Here, everything still operates at full scale. This isn't just biodiversity, it's what life looks like when it has time, when it's fully expressed. And we can't help but be drawn to it. More than 80 million visitors come to Africa every year to see it for themselves.
Africa changes you forever, like nowhere on Earth. Once you've been there, you'll never be the same. But how do you describe its magic? How can you explain the fascination of this vast, dusty continent? Could it be because Africa is the place of all our beginnings, the cradle of mankind, where our species first stood upright on the savannas of long ago?
When we come back and see all these giant mammals, it might even feel oddly familiar. Not long ago, this wasn't unique to Africa. As recently as 50,000 years ago, every continent had giants of its own. North America and Eurasia had mammoths and saber-toothed cats. Australia had giant kangaroos and wombats the size of vending machines. Madagascar had lemurs as big as gorillas. Different animals, same mega scale. But in most places, that world is gone. It disappeared after humans arrived. Africa is one of the few places where it didn't. The leading explanation is co-evolution, a long-term arms race, predator and prey, upgrading together. In Africa, large mammals evolved alongside humans for deep time. Not thousands of years, millions. Starting with early hominins like Homo erectus nearly 2 million years ago and continuing through to us. And evolution responds to pressure. These animals weren't just surviving the wild, they were learning to survive us. The ones still here are the ones that adapted, They began detecting us sooner, fleeing faster, avoiding the places we hunted. Fear of humans can be healthy. And they had time, because there weren't many of us, and our early tools and weapons were simple.
Humans evolved in Africa, so the first humans to interact with the megafauna of Africa were only a few of us. It was an evolutionary arms race to see who could actually survive as the others became more powerful. And because it was slow, the African megafauna had a chance to adapt. Also, Africa was a much larger continent, really rich, like mosaics of different landscapes, which gave a lot of avenues for megafauna to escape. If humans were getting a little bit too close over here, or if the habitat was changing a little bit too much over here, they could just move somewhere else and slowly adapt to different habitats. And the predators, or us as predators at least, were just not there in large numbers initially.
Imagine a few early hominins chucking a rock at a rhino. It's not taking him down, but it might be enough to make him think twice about those weird two-legged things. In Africa, we slowly became part of the way things work, just another apex predator. But in other places, the story was different. When humans reached North America, Australia, and South America, we arrived fast and fully equipped. Like dropping a speedrunner into a video game no one else knows they're playing. We were advanced, coordinated, strategic, and dangerous. The animals there had never seen anything like us. They didn't have time to adapt. The result was collapse. No warning, no learning curve, just gone. Across North America, more than 70% of large mammals disappeared. In South America, over 80%. In Australia, nearly 90%. Africa lost far fewer. Not because it was spared, but because it had time to learn.
One of the first things we do as humans when we move into a landscape is we want to remove the animals that we think might kill us. And also, big animals are a big source of food, so they are really the first target on the list. And as a result of that, all over the world, although there used to be these incredibly majestic, large animals across all of those landscapes, we've hunted all of those animals to extinction. So the really unique thing about Africa is it's been able to retain most of its large megafauna species.
And there were other advantages. Africa also wasn't reset by ice. While glaciers wiped clean entire ecosystems, Africa's shifted, but held. And what remains today still runs. Grazers shape the land. Predators keep them in check. Life feeding into life, again and again. And out of that came something incredible. An animal built by that same pressure. One that survived multiple epochs, shifting climates, and shrinking ranges until it disappeared. The blue buck, Hippotragus leucophaeus. An antelope with sweeping horns and a coat that shimmered blue. A color so rare in mammals, people struggle to describe it. One of the most striking animals in all of Africa. It made it through hundreds of thousands of years of pressure, only to vanish in the modern world. There are no photographs of the blue buck, no film, no recordings of how it moved or how it lived. What we have instead are fragments, like trying to reconstruct an animal from a few blurry screenshots. But those fragments tell us some remarkable things. The blue buck wasn't recent, it was ancient, part of Africa's ecosystem since the Pleistocene. Over time, its world shrank, down to the grasslands on the southern coast of South Africa. It lived there for thousands of years, without ever entering the written record, until one man finally stopped and wrote it down. In 1719, a German astronomer named Peter Kolbe arrived in the Cape. He came to study the skies, but what he found on the ground became history. He described an animal he called the blue goat.
The blue goats are shaped like the tame, but are as large as a European heart. Their hair is very short and of a delicate blue.
Some of the first written records of the blue buck. After that, the animal begins appearing in traces, descriptions, field notes, early illustrations, each attempt getting closer. A remarkable animal slowly taking shape on paper. In 1764, Comte de Buffon published one of the first illustrations tied to the species, a single horn fragment. Others followed, working from memory, from second-hand accounts, from whatever they could find. And in 1778, Allemande produced the first full figure, built from a preserved specimen. But the most valuable records came from people who saw it with their own eyes, like Robert Jacob Gordon, who drew it in the late 1700s while traveling through the Cape. By that point, it was already rare, and his sketches remain among the only images we have from someone who saw it alive. By the time we began to study it, it was already fading from the world, slipping past us before we understood its mysteries. Today, only 6 specimens are recognized as bluebuck, a collection of skins, skulls, and horns, scattered across museums in Europe, none complete. That's all that's left of an entire species. From these pieces, we can start to rebuild it. The bluebuck was a striking medium-sized antelope, about 4 feet or 122 centimeters tall at the shoulder. It could weigh up to 441 pounds or 200 kilograms, about the same as an adult male lion, but built for speed. Believed to be fast enough to hit 50 miles an hour across open ground, fast enough to outrun almost anything that wanted to eat it. Lean and long-legged, the bluebuck was a grazer built to process tough grasses. From its head, a pair of striking, scimitar-shaped horns swept back in elegant arcs.
Their horns are not long, but they are very neat and run very curiously up in rings.
Not decoration, equipment. Along their length, they were ridged in layered bands, growing year by year as the animal lived. And when it needed them, those horns became weapons, used to clash, defend, and hold ground. And then, the coat. In Synopsis of Quadrupeds from 1771, Thomas Pedant described the coat as a fine blue. Francois Levian said it was a
light, rather grayish blue. The belly and the whole inside of the legs are white as snow. The head especially is beautifully spotted with white.
Those white facial markings were not only beautiful, but unique. But not as unique as that blue. It's likely the bluebuck had a silvery, slate blue coat that shifted in the light. A large mammal that looks blue? That's not something you see every day. Blue is everywhere on Earth. Blue sky, blue ocean, blue planet.
I'm blue, are you crazy?
Are you blue?
Blue. Ben is blue! Blue, you're my boy!
But in nature, blue is basically a glitch. Although it's one of our primary colors, it's by far the rarest in the wild. Less than 1 in 10 plants have blue flowers. Big blue mammals are basically unheard of. Why is that? Most color comes from pigment, but there's almost no true blue pigment in nature. In fact, the Obrina olive-winged butterfly is one of the few organisms that has blue pigment in its body. And they call it an olive wing. So how did the bluebuck get its blue? The truth is, we really don't know. It's one of the great mysteries of extinct African megafauna, and we have such limited evidence to decipher it. But there are 2 strong ideas. One is structural color, not pigment, but microscopic structures scattering the light. Like with a blue jay, the pigment in the blue jay's feathers, melanin, is actually brown. The blue comes from light scattering through modified cells on the feather's barbs. It looks blue without actually being blue. It's possible that the bluebuck's color worked in a similar way.
So iridescence is the term for changing the way in which we perceive light. So you don't actually have to have a surface giving a particular colour, but the way that we see that light gives us the range of colours. Rainbows are a great example of iridescence, where we're seeing the light being bent, so it actually splits up the colour channels. The rain, of course, and the air is not rainbow coloured if you go and have a look at it, but the way it's splitting up the light, and we think this is the case with the bluebuck, they also have these similar properties in their hair, where there are these tiny little structures that help to bend the light in the way that really gives them a very blue-like appearance.
The other possibility is pigment dilution. Lower levels of dark and reddish pigments, eumelanin and pheomelanin. Thin those out, and you get a grey that can appear bluish. Two solid explanations, but no clear answer, yet. But one thing's clear, it wasn't just rare, it was unforgettable. A shifting blue, changing with the light. Something you experienced, not just saw.
Ornamentation and color is one of those things that's also kind of a mystery of evolutionary biology. Are they blue because it was a sexually selected trait? Like those who are showing off their shiny blue coat were more likely to find a mate? Are they blue because there's something about the way the sun reflects off of the coat in the landscape in which they live that provides a little bit of camouflage in this particular atmosphere so they can escape from predators? Are all of these hypotheses potentially true?
But there's one detail that makes it even stranger. The blue didn't last, or so it was said. Colby recorded that the color fades when they are killed, as if the blue only existed while they were alive. This may have just been a result of the way that hides were preserved, but the image still holds, a miraculous blue that faded at death for a species we let slip away. The bluebuck survived for hundreds of thousands of years with a small population, and yet there were no clear signs of inbreeding.
Evolution is mostly a competition between genetic drift and natural selection. So can mutation cause new alleles to arise? And if they're good, they will sweep to fixation in a population that's large. If they're bad, they'll disappear. If a population is small, the chance of a new mutation sweeping to fixation or a bad mutation disappearing is actually really small.
The bluebuck likely pushed young individuals out, maintaining genetic health. It adapted to rarity itself, and then that stopped working. Because beauty can be a liability. It was hunted, prized for its hide.
They are rarely killed, but for the sake of their skins, which are as good as those of deer. Their flesh is generally given to the dogs.
But hunting alone didn't end it. The bluebuck lived in a specific ecosystem, the Renosterveld, a rich grassy landscape exploding with seasonal flowers, and a fragile one. When humans arrived, we started changing it. Grasslands became farms, plowed, fenced, rewritten. Livestock replaced wild herds. Everything unraveled. And the bluebuck had nowhere left to go. Its world closed in. Everything stacked at once. Climate shifts fragmented its range, and colonial expansion drove it forward. Habitat loss, competition with livestock, and all that overhunting. A long story that ended quickly.
When we arrived with guns, and when we arrived and completely turned over these ecosystems, making way for farmland and other things that benefit us, that is what did the bluebuck in. It wasn't that they suddenly became small. They didn't have very large populations, but they were stable and they were healthy, and then we turned up.
By 1800, it was gone, as was most of its world. And the bluebuck became the first large African mammal to go extinct in recorded history. A species that lasted hundreds of thousands of years, vanished from the landscape in decades. But traces of the bluebuck linger like color, in stories, in paintings, in museum halls, even in fan art and video games. A fascination with the blue antelope that refused to fade. Not forgotten, just no longer here. Or at least, not entirely. because part of the bluebuck is still alive. It has two close living relatives, still roaming the open savannas and grasslands of Africa. Think cousins, same family, different personalities. The roan antelope and the sable antelope. Built in similar ways, strong, fast, open country specialists that can chew up a lawn. The roan are reddish, with bold facial markings that make them look like members of the band Kiss. Massive, built like tanks, and not built to necessarily run first. When pushed, they stand their ground, lowering their heads, dropping to their knees, driving their horns forward in brutal clashes for dominance. And if a predator gets too close, they can fight back, even against lions. The sable is darker, almost black, Africa's goth royalty, with long, sweeping horns like blades. They're fast, precise, even dangerous when pushed. They move in tight, matriarch-led herds. One dominant female at the center, one adult male guarding the group. The young males don't stay long. They're pushed out, forming bachelor groups, waiting for their shot. The females stay, raising calves and holding the structure together. Today, these animals help shape the land, much like the bluebuck once did. They graze, they cycle nutrients, they feed predators, they keep ecosystems moving. It's easy to think of antelope as the background prey in a film about predators, but they're not the background. They're character actors in an ensemble cast. And there are many more characters than just the roan and the sable. Africa holds more antelope diversity than anywhere on Earth. More than 70 species, from massive eland to tiny dik-diks, about the size of a house cat. Same family, wildly different builds. Africa is sometimes called the continent of antelopes. They thrive here because they evolved here, and they define this place. Scale, diversity, resilience, life in motion. But even something this complete can start to unravel. More than a quarter of antelope species are threatened. Habitat loss, fragmentation, decline. A quiet crisis. Not dramatic, not loud. Just steady loss. We've seen this before. The bluebuck didn't disappear long ago, and it disappeared in plain sight. When something is rare and beautiful, we don't always protect it. The extinction of the bluebuck left a gap, a missing presence. A color faded away. We can't let that happen again, not to any of the antelopes still out there. And fortunately now, we have tools we didn't have before. Things like genomics, gene editing, biobanking, and advanced reproductive technologies. And the researchers at Colossal Biosciences are already working to bring the bluebuck back through de-extinction. Using these tools to rebuild a species and return it from extinction. Not science fiction, but real working science. And what we learn here can help far more than just the bluebuck.
Antelopes are cool, they're super weird, they're super different from each other, and about a quarter of them are currently in danger of becoming extinct. So here we have this gorgeous, shimmery blue-gray coat antelope that's extinct recently, and we get to use that as the foundational reason to develop tools that we can use to really support this incredibly diverse and distinct lineage in the animal tree of life.
The tools we build to bring the bluebuck back will help protect the antelope still here, strengthening populations, preserving diversity, keeping them on the landscape. Because this story isn't just about one lost species, it's about the extraordinary antelope we still have. Many just as remarkable, and many already at risk. We lost the bluebuck, but we shouldn't have to lose anything else. We can do better. The same ingenuity that reshaped this planet can protect it. There's still hope. Because hope is never extinct.